think we all try to be fair these days when you're making your will. But then, on the other hand, I think I've changed my will about 6 times because the circumstances.
Was that if someone annoys you? Do you think?
Yeah.
You're out the will.
She didn't give me a Mother's Day lunch.
I hope Jane's written her will because she was about to peg out on the end there. She's not well.
Consumption on the end.
Have you written a will?
Yes, I have, and you know, because I have stepchildren, and we're what the Americans call a blended family, so we have quite a complicated will because they have to talk you through all the different scenarios, etc. But I mean, barely a week goes by where you don't see court cases in the newspapers relating to wills. There's always some, you know, there was one a couple of weeks ago of a sister who'd worked on a farm all her life and been told that she'd get the farm, and then when the parents died, she didn't. So then she sued one of the other siblings, and it just goes on all the time. You know, the minute that somebody dies, people, I think, largely behave appallingly.
It brings out the
when
worst.
there is
They
money
become really
involved.
greedy when there's money involved, and whether they're brothers or sisters, they fight like cat and dog. And I just think you've got to be fair. I mean, you know, I've got 2 and I will separate it equally. I'm one of 3, and I know
get
my
a
mum will
pound each.
separate it.
Okay, let me just say, you became ill and your daughter looks after you, she's always there, you always round, taking things. Your son, meanwhile, has joined a band.
Yeah.
He's joined a band, he's gone off, he's travelling, he occasionally phones you, sends the odd postcard, but your daughter's done all the work and looked after you till your dying day. Do you divide that equally between the two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Still?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Because, you know, my parents were all right for a bit. And, you know, I'm the one that's always there, and my brother's never there. But I would know that they will split it evenly. And I think that's the only way that when they're gone, that they know the siblings are going to carry on being civil to each other.
People want to split it evenly, but I don't think it's your duty bound to do
No,
that. I mean, I believe
it's not, you're not
somebody's money, you can do what the hell you like with it.
Absolutely.
And actually, my accountant says spend it because the government's only going to take 40% of it anyway.
It's
So
circumstances.
have whatever you want.
As well, isn't it? I mean, if you have maybe if one of your children had a very severely disabled child and needed a lot of money for sort of respite care, you might say to the others, well, you don't need that as much, can I give more to her? You know, I think it, depends.
I think if there's circumstances, but if there's no sort of extra circumstances, then it should be split.
I think it should. There's a famous case last week in the paper, I don't know if you read it. This gentleman who was about 89 years of age, and his daily, somehow, according to the paper, managed to get him to sign everything over to her. Well, you can imagine the rest of the family, because they went ballistic, and it was a huge court case. You do actually come across a lot of those, not a lot, but some.
But it's very sad, like Linda said, when you know, siblings and things are falling out.
Oh, they
and
do,
really
though.
don't speak for years over something. I can't imagine.
I guess if
my
you haven't got
sister and
money,
I
it's if you haven't
doing
got
that.
if you've got money of your own, you don't look at it that way, do you? Because you're not looking for something to help you out.
Well, I've known families that have fought over houses and taken each other to court, and it's completely split the family. Yeah. And, you know, I just think for that reason, just keep it even. If you've got 3 kids,
quite,
split
like
3
said,
ways.
I think it's quite often based on greed. I mean, I agree with you if somebody is a special case where they need the money more than you, but so often, and it could be over something silly, like a couple of thousand, and literally, like you said, splits.
Actually, to be on the serious side about wills, though, if you have children, it's really, really important within your will to appoint a guardian for your children. Heaven forbid that both of you, you know, don't survive it in a plane crash or something.
But that was the worst part of Eamon and I doing our wills, because we review ours every few years. And that was something we had to address, which was if something happens to both of us, you know, we quite often travel together for work or various things. And it's the most horrible thing to discuss. But once I'd done it and we had everything in place and we'd spoken, you have to then talk to the people that you want to be guardians, and then you have to have financial arrangements for that. And, you know, and it was an awful time doing it. But once I'd done it, I feel much happier. And when we do, because I've got a terrible morbid mind if we're on a plane.
You have,
and I do think, say this goes down, it's going to go down, and don't give me an orphan and all. But, you know, at least I know that there's something in place.
Let's all make a pact that we don't leave any money to anybody and we spend it all on leather trousers.
Let's spend it,